As I understand it, the legal definition of an insanity defense is you have to know the difference between right and wrong.
Well, in
and
order
if you
to be
can't do that, then you can be convicted or, if you will, innocent by virtue of insanity. Does that fit here?
No, because some of these individuals may be competent to stand trial, though that isn't really the appropriate course. And what ends up happening is we spend billions of dollars trying to restore their competency. They end up getting credit time served because the doctor's absolutely right. They're not in on serious offenses. We had 160 murders maybe in Miami-Dade last year. If 2 or 3 were committed by people with a serious mental illness, it was a lot. And so the real issue is our laws are old too. They don't necessarily
That's what I was getting at.
They don't reflect modern science and research in medicine, and we really need to go back. I mean, our involuntary hospitalization laws I don't think are appropriate and work very well. Our competency laws don't work very well, and it's really time to take a whole fresh look at this whole system.
I thought I'd put you on the spot, but you had the answers. So, or at least you could outline the problem. Let me just go on.
But Judge, doesn't it depend on the state? In some states you have non-guilty for reason of insanity. In other states you can have mentally ill and guilty.
Yes,
it depends
but
on the state, correct?
That's really not the issue. Less than 1/10% of people that have insanity issues are found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Sure.
So that's almost irrelevant in our system. The real problem is we're recycling people and then trying to restore them and not treat them, as opposed to getting them treated to begin with, or when they come in, setting up diversion programs or redirection programs to get them back into the community to get what they need.
This sounds to me, and you'll forgive me for paraphrasing you, as if the system at its core is antiquated, and antiquated definitions of what constitutes mental illness and competence to stand trial.
Yes, and it's antiquated as how we should treat people to keep them more healthy.
Brings me to where I wanted to go.
You're welcome.
I love this guy. The whole point of serious mental illness, and we'll look at schizophrenia, is getting treatment. So what are the challenges to medication adherence and getting people treated once they're incarcerated?
Well, we talk about the system. I think at its core, the system is broken. And so prisons and jails are not set up for healthcare delivery. That's the issue.
Yeah, we're the de facto mental health system.
And we can't say no.
Right, and there's no gate. I mean, you come in, that's the irony. The only entitlement to mental health treatment in the United States is if you're arrested.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
But
we don't have entitlement to care if you're out in the community.
But there was something you mentioned earlier, which is involuntary hospitalization. Wasn't there a Supreme Court ruling which said that unless you're a danger to yourself or others, they cannot just pick you up off the street and throw you in an institution?
And nor should they, but there's an in-between, and the laws have been broadened and the courts have upheld. You know, self-neglect and a need for treatment are starting to see the day of light because the science is changing and the courts then reflect what the science is doing.
But people point to the ineffective treatment that people get, and they say, well, gee, you're going to pick them up and treat them, but the treatment doesn't work. Leave them on the street, Your Honor.
Well, in the old days, I imagine when the choice was between a really horrible state hospital that was torturing you and putting you out on the street was the better option. But that isn't where we're at today. Today we have good treatment, and they're very effective treatments. We just don't give access to those treatments for this population.
Well,
we also need to move the dollars that are going towards treating individuals in the criminal justice institutions to treating them in the community appropriately.
Okay.
And you asked a question about difficulties with treating people with schizophrenia, in particular in correctional institutions. Just to bring light to the issue, there is difficulty with even making sure the right person is getting the right medication at the right time.
There's no time out?
There's no time out. So medications, many of them have to be taken with meals, for example. Correctional institutions, we serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner at certain times of the day. That doesn't always coincide with medication delivery. So even just the medication distribution is problematic. In Cook County, we had to go as far as to get the highest level of authority at the jail, myself, to be notified when an inmate did not show up for an appointment, because there are so many obstacles with getting inmates in front of their doctors in correctional institutions.
Let me